What if the emerging markets, led by China and its BRICS allies, decided to not just challenge but completely upend the existing global financial system? What if they rejected the US dollar's decades-long reign and instead decided to take control of their own economic futures? This isn't just an abstract idea or a distant possibility, it's happening right now. Under the bold leadership of Xi Jinping, China is leading a dramatic shift in global finance, using currency agreements and strategic economic diplomacy to challenge the dollar's dominance like never before. The implications are far-reaching. This is not a gradual shift, but a revolution that threatens to redefine the entire landscape of global trade and finance. The question is not just whether the dollar's reign will eventually end, but when, and how quickly the change will happen. Could this be the beginning of the end for the US dollar? Let's dive deeper into this unfolding crisis for dollar dominance and explore how China is leading the charge. Central to China's strategy are currency swap agreements, a simple but incredibly effective financial tool that is slowly reshaping the world's financial architecture. A currency swap is a deal between two countries where they agree to exchange their currencies directly, bypassing the US dollar entirely. This isn't just a matter of convenience, it's a declaration of financial independence. China's currency swap agreements are becoming a critical piece of its economic diplomacy. Through these agreements, China is creating a parallel financial system that reduces the world's dependence on the dollar. It's a straightforward transaction with massive implications. To put it simply, these deals are allowing countries to trade directly in their own currencies, cutting out the middleman, the US dollar, and avoiding the economic risks that come with reliance on a foreign currency. But this is much bigger than just financial logistics. The drive to bypass the dollar is a direct challenge to the global economic order that has existed since World War II. China's intent is clear. It wants to undermine the US dollar's hegemony, while offering an alternative that reflects China's growing influence on the world stage. The stakes are enormous. China's currency swap agreements are more than just a means of conducting trade. They are part of a much broader strategic vision to establish the Chinese yuan as a leading global currency. These swaps are the backbone of a growing coalition of countries that are pushing back against the dollar's dominance. China has already signed over 40 currency swap agreements with countries across the globe, with a total value of 4 trillion yuan. Countries from Thailand and South Korea to Argentina, Nigeria, and South Africa are engaging with China, and they're not doing it for the financial convenience alone. These agreements signal a broader geopolitical realignment. Nations are moving toward China, unshackling themselves from the economic rules that have been dictated by Washington for decades. They are effectively diversifying their financial portfolios by including the yuan and reducing their exposure to the risks that come with over-reliance on the US dollar. For China, these agreements are not merely about economics. They are part of a deliberate strategy to position itself as the center of a new global financial order. These are the first steps in what could be a massive global shift, where China assumes the role of global economic leader, with the yuan as its spearhead. Why does China care so much about reducing its reliance on the US dollar? The answer lies in the inherent risks of relying on a currency controlled by another country, particularly one with which China has competing geopolitical interests. The US dollar dominates global trade and finance, but this dominance isn't without its drawbacks. Countries around the world are vulnerable to the volatility of the dollar, with its exchange rates fluctuating based on the US economy, policies, and even politics. Furthermore, the US government has used its control over the dollar to impose sanctions on countries and companies that it deems to be adversaries. Countries that are heavily reliant on the dollar for trade are essentially at the mercy of US economic power, subject to unilateral sanctions or economic disruptions. By promoting the yuan, China is building a system that allows nations to protect themselves from these risks. It is creating a safe harbor for countries who want to free themselves from the US dollar's influence. Through its currency swap agreements, China is not just offering an alternative currency. It is offering a form of economic independence that is increasingly attractive to emerging markets who are tired of being dictated to by the West. But the yuan is not just about financial independence, it's also about influence. China's currency swap agreements are a form of economic diplomacy that go far beyond trade. Countries like Pakistan and Sri Lanka are turning to China for help when they face financial crises. Sri Lanka, for example, turned to its currency swap agreement with China to stabilize its economy during its crisis, using yuan to pay for imports, thus reducing its reliance on the US dollar and maintaining financial stability. This isn't just about surviving a short-term economic bump. These countries are positioning themselves for the long haul, aligning themselves with China's broader geopolitical vision. In South America, Argentina has increasingly turned to the yuan for its trade with China. Argentina is already feeling the effects of dollar volatility and is using the yuan as a buffer to protect itself from the economic instability that often comes with a reliance on the US dollar. In Africa, countries like Nigeria and South Africa are incorporating the yuan into their financial systems, signaling a broader shift away from the dollar. In fact, South Africa has gone even further by integrating the yuan into its foreign reserves, representing a dramatic departure from its long-standing reliance on the US dollar. The message here is clear. China is building trust. It is proving itself to be a reliable partner, offering countries not just economic opportunities, but geopolitical alternatives. By offering these currency swaps, China is not just reshaping trade, it is reshaping the global balance of power itself. The big question is, can the yuan truly replace the dollar? While critics argue that it may take decades for the yuan to become a true global reserve currency, China has demonstrated remarkable adaptability and resilience in the past. The yuan's increasing role in global finance is undeniable. From Belt and Road initiatives to currency swap agreements, China has built a formidable framework that is systematically building momentum for the yuan. China has already proven that it is capable of innovating and adapting its policies to meet the demands of a changing world. It has navigated global economic challenges with tactical brilliance, and now, it is leveraging its rising economic power to reshape the rules of the game. The yuan's rise is not just about economics. It's about building a new multipolar financial system where the US dollar no longer holds undisputed dominance. While the road ahead may not be smooth or quick, China is positioning itself to challenge the dollar on an unprecedented scale. It is creating an ecosystem where the yuan becomes the anchor of a new economic order. The world is changing, and China is at the heart of this transformation. So what does this all mean for the world? The rise of the yuan and China's currency agreements isn't just a financial story. It's a geopolitical shift that could have profound implications for global power dynamics. These agreements are shattering the long-standing dominance of the US dollar, and with each deal signed, China is creating a new parallel financial system that promises a more multipolar world, one where economic power is spread more evenly, and countries have more freedom to trade without being beholden to the US. Is this the beginning of a new financial era? A world where the Chinese yuan and the BRICS currency take center stage in international trade? The global financial system is about to be completely transformed, and the question isn't just whether the dollar will fall, but how fast this transition will happen. The world is watching, and the moment of change is upon us. As China continues to sign currency swap agreements and strengthen its influence, we are witnessing the rise of a new global financial order. This is more than just about money. It's about global power. What happens next will reshape the financial landscape for decades to come. Let us know your thoughts in the comments. How soon do you think the yuan will challenge the dollar for global dominance? If you're fascinated by the shifting tides of global finance, subscribe to our channel, hit the bell icon, and stay tuned for more in-depth coverage of this unfolding revolution. The world is changing, and we're just getting started.